Namaste, beautiful yogis. I want to take a few minutes here to explain breathing and breath. I've been meaning to talk about Ujaii breathing because I often mention Ujaii breath, and a lot of you are not familiar with Ujaii breathing or are not quite sure what exactly it means. It doesn't mean deep breathing per se. It's a yogic technique, ashtanga yoga technique. It's a Taoist technique of breathing through the nose, in and out through the nose. But what we're gonna do is we're actually gonna constrict the back of the throat, and we're gonna produce a hissing sound from the throat, from constricting the throat. We constrict the throat so that we can slow down the intake or the speed at which, the level, the rate at which we are taking breath in and the level at which we're exhaling. So it's going to sound something like this. It's almost like a hissing sound from the back of the throat, or as if you're producing a sound ha, but with your mouth closed. It's something like this. Now, the more you practice Ujaii breath, you will notice that you're able to deepen your breath much more. You can go deeper and you can slow it down more. And actually, it's a good gauge for your practice. Some days I cannot connect to my breath, and I know that my energy is off those days, and I wouldn't have known that unless I was practicing on the mat and practicing conscious guided breath. The more you practice Ujaii, the more you will get to understand it. The benefits of Ujaii are great. You're going to get to oxygenate your system. You're going to get to increase your cardiovascular capacity. It is amazing for detoxifying your tissues and your lungs. It is great for your lungs, of course, and your lung capacity. It is great. It's a calming breath, so it is going to calm your nervous system down. It has an effect on the parasympathetic nervous system. In my personal experience, Ujaii breath has been a tool to internalize and bring everything inward, if it makes any sense. It's been a place for me to understand inner power or inner strength, to realize and internalize my own processes, mental processes, or psychological, or my own processes. Now, I do combine it. I do combine it with mula bandha and uddiyana bandha. Those are the yogic locks. They are the ashtanga locks. They are somewhat difficult to explain to a beginner. In general, breath is one of my most challenging things to explain to a beginner. I can get a beginner to do some somewhat difficult poses with more ease than to get a beginner to breathe. For some reason, breath is a very personal, private thing, and a lot of people are, I find, uncomfortable to deepen their breath or to learn a breathing technique, maybe in public or maybe in their own personal. Breath can be very revealing to your own self. It can make you realize a lot of your own internal processes, so maybe that's why a lot of us resist it. Anyways, if you have any ideas as to why breath is such a personal and such a powerful thing that a lot of people don't even want to go there, let me know in the comments below. But I combine Ujaii breath with mula bandha and uddiyana bandha. Now, mula bandha is the perineum, the pelvic lock. Uddiyana is the solar plexus lock. Solar plexus is easier to lock in, say, downward facing dog, or even some of the poses where you are already in a position to lock it. Mula Bandha should, ideally, you should lock your root chakra every time you inhale. So what happens is there is a meeting of prana. You're inhaling, so breath is going down, and you are locking your root chakra, your perineum. So there is retention of energy for the time of inhalation. Then when you exhale, you release Mula Bandha and you exhale. So there is a cultivation that is much more powerful in my experience than just the mechanics and the physical aspect of breathing. There is gathering of prana and internal strength that's going to happen over time. And the thing about breath is not every time things are going to click and be smooth and perfect. Some days your breath is just not going to be there. It may take you years to actually clean your lungs and create beautiful fluent breath, but don't get discouraged. You will get there, and the process will teach you so much that it's worth it, and you actually should do it anyways, because the alternative is not acceptable. So we better know how to breathe. As you breathe in Ujaii Breath, it will get deeper and deeper, and you will develop more control and more lung capacity. I will try to demonstrate it again. I'm sure it's gonna be a difficult concept for some of you. So don't despair, just continue, try it. Keep constricting the back of your throat and producing that hissing or ocean sound. It's also, the sound of the breath itself is pretty calming. On some days I'm able to really slow the rate of inhalation and exhalation, so there is less oxygen that comes in and out. That's part of the calming part of the breath, and obviously less oxygenation, less rusting, less aging. So in general, it's good in our life to not do shallow, quick breaths, but to slow down the rate of our breath. Let me know if you have any questions, or if you have tips for beginners how to get into Ujaii breathing. Thanks for watching. Namaste.